Hello everyone. Today we will be talking more about internet psychology in the fourth part of this course. Out here in beautiful nature, enjoying a little forest bathing as we learn. So yes, the fourth part of this. And I would call this part here of our Unit 1 material 21st century thinking skills, abilities, the things that are going to lead to the best success versus the worst, kind of worst failures, I would say. One of the interesting things about this, now that we realize that the internet technology is not making things worse, in terms of humans being lazier, having more problems, doing this, and we'll address some of these things later on with communication and motivation in various ways. And so we'll get to some of those points later on. But for now, let's take kind of a sidestep for a minute from technology changes here, and let's think about 21st century thinking skills that have really begun to rise up with the birth of the information age. Because previously we've had an agrarian age, an industrial age, and then now we're in the information age, an age where information and the ability to perform are now extremely valuable over being able to just work in a factory, for example. In this age of information where, this is kind of the service industry products that America sends out to the world from an economic perspective, in this day and age, what is it that people need to be able to do the best? What is the kind of stuff that's going to allow people to have the best jobs, the best performance, the best businesses? Well, some of the best thinking skills that I've referenced through some of the articles linked up in the description and such here, as you can clearly see, there are a lot of different materials that people have different takes on as what's the most important kind of thinking skill of the 21st century. And some of the ones that this course really focuses deeply on, for example, would be critical thinking, of course, as a big thing. Being able to have great writing skills is always a valuable kind of skill. But one of them is being able to focus on detail. In the past, focus on detail was not as big a thing as it is now. Now more than ever, we need people who can think outside the box, but also who can follow instructions successfully. And if you can pair those two things together, you can have a lot more success in many things than you might think. Because you need people who are able to listen to directions, to follow directions, to be very specific. And that's something this course definitely emphasizes. And, taking the actual college course through UW here, it's a pretty interesting thing about detail, about focusing exclusively on these exact parts of assignments. And I think that that's definitely something the class can teach well. But beyond being able to just focus on detail, you also need to be able to be creative, to be able to write different things, and to think outside the box a little bit. So I would say that these are things that have not always been so emphasized, because we've talked about in previous videos how many school systems are de-emphasizing creativity when we need to re-emphasize it. When people need to be creative, when they need to be more than, kind of just a wage slave kind of person. This is something that many schools don't really do, at least through, like secondary education. You have all these people going through high school being told how their work is not of, good enough quality, how it's got this problem, how they need to have perfect, SAT or ACT scores, and all these kind of things. And that this is a huge problem that people really run into, And I'd say that that's an interesting kind of thing. Really, when it comes down to it, is simply that in the 21st century, we have new thinking skills, and that we can address these. We can look at them and see all the abilities we have to perform and to be more than people have ever accomplished before. But the old ways of thinking, of course, are fading away as being successful in the new job market. I mean, after all, automation is something that's big, and as one of the pieces I've shown there in the description tells us, automation is going to replace a lot of people over time. If you notice, people say America doesn't make anything anymore, globalization has gotten rid of the jobs. Actually, that is not true. It is not the immigrant, it is not globalization, it's automation. Automation is responsible for over 85% of the loss in manufacturing jobs. Why? Because America now makes more things through manufacturing than ever, okay? It makes more, products for its GDP there than ever in manufacturing. Well, not from like a GDP, like a proportion perspective, but, value stuff. America makes more stuff manufacturing than it ever has before. Yet, it does it with way less people because you can automate things to create things. Okay, this is just the value of automation. Automation replaces lower wage jobs, and that's exactly what it does. But computers have a much harder time with creativity. Computers have a much harder time with many things like this. Now, you can say what you will about Deep Blue and chess computers. You can say what you will about, musical compositions that computers have been able to create based on algorithms of different composers and various styles. Yes, computers can do some amazing things. Yet, computers are not great at coming up with original content. They're not great at being creative. People have the advantage over machines when it comes to creativity, when it comes to many creative, things like that. And of course, different thinking skills are things that you can't program as of yet. Now, maybe someday when we have AI, when we hit the AI singularity, etc., that's been predicted, then maybe things will change. But until that point, realize that creativity and many qualities of humanity have yet to be automated away. So, the basic stuff can be automated away, but the higher end things, the better skills, cannot as of yet. Anyway, that's really about it for this video. Just trying to get that kind of idea out there for how this 21st century mindset has changed, what it's looking like for the job market here. And of course, I'm going to leave you guys with the quote that at the end of the day, the learned will lose while the learners will inherit the earth. That's roughly the quote anyway, because the learners will inherit the earth. Those who are willing to learn the new skills, who are willing to move forward, will inherit the earth. Versus the learned are going to find themselves out of the great opportunities that were once there, yet no longer are. So that's not to say to be fearful. Never be fearful here. Be optimistic, be positive, tell yourself the right story of your reality. But of course, recognize that things are changing in the world, and you always want to be ahead of the change, and you want to be out there doing something new to become more than who you normally are, and to be able to do more, be more in all types of areas. Anyway, that is about it for this video. I will see you guys next time with our wrap up for our first unit. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time with the next video.